Ahmaud Arbery and the McMichaels are back in the news. We've been covering this case for some time. Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed last year by Greg and Travis McMichael. This story has been a very interesting one. If you recall, back when we were originally covering this, there was some question about whether this was sort of being swept under the rug, because the Ahmaud Arbery shooting took place a long time before these two gentlemen were ultimately charged with crimes. And so we're going to give a little bit of an update on this case, break down what actually happened, because they have court today. They had court today and they have court tomorrow. They're scheduled for trial coming up, I think, later at the end of the year. But they are also now fleshing out some motions. They have evidence that they need to get into court or out of court. In particular, a big piece of evidence that's very important for the defense is records of Ahmaud Arbery's past. He's got some prior malfeasance in his history, so the defense wants to bring that into court. This was a situation where allegedly Ahmaud Arbery was running down the street. The McMichaels are saying that they thought that he was stealing from a house, so they chased him down the street. Gregory McMichael was a former police officer. Travis McMichael was his son. They hop in the back of a car. They see this African-American guy running down the street. So they hop in the back of their pickup truck, grab their firearms, chase him down. They go down the street. A neighbor by the name of Roddy Brown, I think, he comes out, and now he is helping to sort of capture this running kid who's running down the street. And so they go down this little bit of a loop-de-loop, and we covered this extensively on this channel. We had maps and we were diagramming the whole scene and everything. So I would encourage you to go watch those videos if you want to check that out. But what ended up happening is Ahmaud Arbery kind of turns around and he's going back and approaching the guys, McMichael, both McMichaels and Roddy. And they come into contact with one another, and Travis McMichael has a shotgun, and Ahmaud Arbery sort of comes to him, right? They come to each other, and the shotgun goes off 3 times, according to Travis. If you're on the other side of this, you say he was shot 3 times. Travis McMichael shot him multiple times after they sort of chased him down. Now, once this caught wind, or this happened, and it didn't catch wind for several months until it sort of leaked out to the media, and then it turned into this big spectacle. The reason it caught my attention is because it really looked like that Travis McMichael, one of the former officers, a former officer for this particular part of Georgia, may have escaped any criminal liability. We had multiple prosecutors look at this case and say that what happened here was self-defense. Nothing went wrong until the rest of the country saw the footage, and we said, what? That looked like a murder to me. So let's take a quick look. We're going to go through some background here, and we're going to go over to the AP. They say that a judge asked by the defense to okay evidence of Ahmaud Arbery's past troubles. So attorneys for a white father and son, don't you love how that's like the first thing we talk about now? The first thing, a white father and son charged with chasing and killing Ahmaud Arbery asked the judge Wednesday to allow evidence of the slain black man's past problems to be presented when their clients stand trial for murder. Prosecutors argued that Arbery's criminal record and other prior problems should be kept out of the trial, saying they are irrelevant to the defense decision to arm themselves and ultimately shoot a man who was trying to run away, which I actually agree with that. I mean, I think, objectively, if I'm observing this not as a defense attorney, if I'm looking at this like a judge and I have to decide whether to allow this evidence into court or not, I have to ask myself, all right, is this relevant? If Travis and Gregory McMichael chased Ahmaud Arbery down the streets, did they know about his past records? Did they know that he may have had prior shoplifting charges or whatever previously? Did that cause them to act the way they did? I'm going to guess that the answer is no, right? They saw some kid running down the street. That's all the information that they had. So are they going to be able to say, well, the only reason we chased him is because we knew that this was a criminal based on his criminal history? No, they just some kid running down the street. Allegedly, they thought that there were some shopliftings taking place in the neighborhood, and so they wanted to stop that from happening. That's it. So what if he has all of these other records? Those shouldn't come into court. Travis McMichael and his father, Greg McMichael, pursued the 25-year-old black man in a pickup truck after they spotted him running in their neighborhood on February 23rd. Remember, this was all pre-Floyd. A neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, joined the chase, took the cell phone video of Travis McMichael shooting Arbery 3 times at close range with the shotgun, right? And the original story here was that, the shotgun went off and that Arbery was pulling the gun away from Travis McMichael. He was pulling it. And if you have a finger on the trigger and you pull the shotgun, well, your finger's going to go this way as the gun's going this way. Gun's going to go off. 3 times. Got it. Defense attorneys argue that the 3 men committed no crimes. They say that McMichaels suspected Arbery was a burglar after he had been recorded by video cameras inside a nearby home under construction. Travis McMichael's lawyers say he shot Arbery in self-defense. Okay, and if you haven't seen this video, I have a clip at the very end that was assembled by the incredible Ma Fox. We have Jason Sheffield, one of Travis McMichael's lawyers, told Superior Court Judge Timothy Walmsley on Wednesday that Arbery's past arrests and other incidents include not only, quote, theft crimes, but also show a pattern that Arbery, when confronted with wrongdoing by police or other authority, would become angry and aggressive, physically and verbally. His intent and motive is something that is central to the case, says Sheffield, which I understand. I mean, it's a defense attorney. You have to make that argument, but it's really not, unless the McMichaels knew about that. Did they know about it? Did they have any reason to know about it? Or did they just chase some black kid in the street without any other information? Prosecutor Linda Dunikoski argued that Arbery's past had no bearing on the McMichaels' decision to pursue him with guns because they did not know anything about him prior to the fatal chase. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter what Arbery's thoughts were. It doesn't matter what his actions were. He was running away from these men, and he was. Defense attorneys for the McMichaels want the jury to know about 10 incidents from Arbery's past, including that he was on probation at the time he was killed. Arbery pled guilty to charges that he carried a gun onto a high school campus in 2013. A year after he graduated, Rodney Ellis, police chief for Glynn County School System, testified at a hearing on Wednesday that Arbery tried to evade officers on foot and stopped only when 2 of them pointed guns at him. In 2017, court records show Arbery pled guilty to a shoplifting charge for stealing a TV from Walmart. Judge rulings could have a big effect on how this trial plays out. Last week, scheduled jury selection to begin on October 18th in Brunswick, Georgia, 70 miles south of Savannah. All 3 men are charged with malice, murder, and other counts. Case sparked national outcry during a year of protests over killings of unarmed black people. Justice Department on April 28th added hate crime charges to the McMichaels. They all pled not guilty to the federal counts in front of a U.S. magistrate judge on Tuesday. This is the 2 guys, the 3 guys. This is what they look like. We got Gregory, we got Travis over here, the son, and then we got Roddy Brian over here. In state court this week, Walmsley scheduled hearings Wednesday and Thursday on several legal motions awaiting settlement ahead of the planned murder trials. Prosecutions have asked the judge to allow jurors to see text messages and social media posts they contend show a lack of racial goodwill by all 3 defendants. So speaking of the N-word, maybe those guys were using it. They include a text message exchange from 2019 when McMichael twice uses a racial slur for black people right now. So the question then is, well, that kind of shows motive, right? They wanted to go and execute an African-American kid. So that's a different question. Now, the judge might say, all right, well, we're not going to let any of Arbery's past stuff come into play, and we're not going to let any of the McMichael stuff come into play, and we're just going to start it from scratch. Both of these individuals come to the scene, come to the incident as blank slate individuals, or the judge, well, we'll see, right? We'll see. If the judge splits it one way or the other, we're going to know which way this judge is leaning. If the judge comes back out and says, all right, we're going to let in everything about Ahmaud Arbery, and we're going to keep out the text messages from these from these guys. Well, we know where that judge is leaning, and vice versa. If everything from Ahmaud Arbery's past stays out and everything from these text messages come in, I think we know where that trial is leaning. Georgia Bureau of Investigation Agent Richard Dial has testified that Brian told investigators Travis McMichael uttered a racial slur while standing over Arbery as he bled in the street. So Roddy Brian. So this guy is saying that Travis Michael uttered a racist slur while standing over Arbery as he shot him. Wow, that's not good. Jason, and that's right. That's probably going to come out at trial. Okay, that's probably going to come out at trial. If Roddy was there on the scene, standing over him, and has already testified about that to Georgia Bureau of Investigation investigators, that he used the N-word while he was standing over Arbery after he shot him 3 times, that is not going to look good for a jury. Jason Sheffield, an attorney for Travis McMichael, said his client denies making that remark. All right, so Wow. Yeah, that's going to be spicy. We've got in his final days, Ahmaud Arbery's life was at a crossroads. This was posted last year, May 25th. Just a quick recap on this. Let's see what was going on with him. He decided to take a break from college, wait until the fall. He would cross 4 lanes of the Jekyll Island Causeway. 3 months ago, at the age of 25, he ran through Satilla Shores for the first time. Arbery was shot to death by a father and son who told police they grabbed guns and pursued him in a pickup truck because they believed he was responsible for break-ins in their neighborhood. Black man killed by 2 white men. Before Arbery's name joined the litany of hashtags you hear, he was a skinny kid, wanted to play in the NFL. Those who knew of him speak, nice of him, easy smile, infectious laughter, all that stuff. They also acknowledged legal troubles cropped up after high school. Carried a gun to high school, Walmart store, all this stuff. Worked at his father's car wash, landscaping business. Lee Merritt, an attorney for the family, said the circumstances of his life touch on something deeper about American society. Our ravenous criminal justice system tends to take young black men in their teenage years, introduces them to the system, and never lets them out. But when Ahmaud died, he was at a point of transition. Ultimately, Cooper Jones said nothing her son did in his short life justifies the way he died. I will get answers. That was my promise. That's the last thing I told him on the day of his funeral, that mama will get to the bottom of it. So, she's right. Nothing justifies that, right? And we've talked about this on the show. Sometimes people will say, well, can I use lethal force to protect myself, to protect my life? Well, yeah, you can. That's not what happened here, right? What happened here is allegedly these 2 guys saw somebody who was breaking into other homes. So they weren't using use of force to protect another person's life. They were chasing somebody who they thought was stealing property or maybe theoretically a threat to other people. And they were chasing him down the road. He was running away from them. They pursued him. They could have called the police. They didn't do that. And so they are responsible for the repercussions of their actions. There are consequences. If you go into the store and break the item, you got to pay for the item. They thought it was within their purview to act as unofficial law enforcement people in their neighborhood. Not allowed to do that. Somebody died as a result of it, so they're going to have to pay the consequences. Now, evidence of prior convictions. Is this stuff admissible? Right, we've talked a lot about this in the Chauvin case. This comes over from, where is this coming from? Hot Air and Nolo. So here is something that Miss Faith clipped for us. It says here by Lay Cigars. When any witness, including a defendant, testifies, his or her credibility is at issue. The fact finder, either the judge or the jury, must decide whether and how much to believe the witness. It's called credibility, yeah. That's why courts allow into evidence certain kinds of past convictions to aid in the determination of how trustworthy the witness is. General prosecutors can't use evidence of prior convictions to prove a defendant's guilt or tendency to commit crimes. They can use them to question the truthfulness or the credibility of the defendant's testimony. Yeah, so yeah, we talked a lot about this. There are rules in the federal rules of evidence that will, you can't use evidence that's sort of showing a proclivity to do something. And if you do that, it can be more prejudicial than it is probative. It can mean that this doesn't actually help us answer the question, right? So in Derek Chauvin's case, we all know this. We spent a lot of time talking about this. The question there was, what killed George Floyd, right? What was it? And so the judge said, well, none of his prior convictions killed him. They had nothing to do with that, the cause of death. Nothing to do with what caused his heart to stop beating. It was either asphyxia, or if you're a defense, looking at it from a defense perspective, it was a combination of other things, heart disease, and the list goes on. So in that situation, if we know that the only relevant inquiry is about the cause of death, any prior convictions have nothing to do with it. Now, the judge did let in the incident from 2019. Why? Because Floyd was hospitalized. He was in the hospital with a blood pressure of like 210 over something, very, very high. And because that might have had long-lasting consequences, because that may have ultimately impacted his heart, that could have contributed to his death in 2020, that bit of information comes in. But all of the other priors, none of that stuff is relevant. Same thing here, okay? If we're talking about a scene in which Ahmaud Arbery is running down the street and the McMichaels get in their car and they chase after him, what do the priors have to do with anything if the McMichaels didn't know about it? Nothing. I want to show you just a quick clip that Ma Fox put together some time ago, and he sent this over to us. He said, I really like to cover these things I pointed out before, showing Travis pointing his shotgun at Arbery prior to even being 20 feet away. All right. And so here, this is very interesting. So the big claim from people who are sort of pro Arbery, pro McMichaels, right? There's a big contingent of individuals, and I empathize with the argument that say, listen, you need to do some local policing, all right? You need to be community watch. We need to make sure that we're keeping our neighborhood safe. That we're defunding the police across the country. There's protests and riots. There's stopping traffic in streets. And so we as citizens, and I'm a Second Amendment person, somebody who believes that we have a fundamental right to protect ourselves and our families and our lives. We want to maintain all of that. Now, if we're in a situation where we can't do that, that's a problem. And so some people are saying, no, what the McMichaels were doing was totally acceptable, was totally legitimate. They're allowed to police themselves or police their neighborhood, and they were responding to somebody who was coming at them, right? So in this image, now you're saying, all right, so now Arbery's running back their direction. And so if you watch the full video, that he's sort of doing a loop, it's kind of a dead end. So he's turning around and walking, running back this direction to sort of escape these guys. They've already chased him this way, and I think he came back around this way. And so now you see that Arbery is running back towards them, right? And you're going to notice that Travis is already raising the shotgun up. Okay, so basically what the defense is that this was self-defense. As Arbery was approaching him, he had to raise his gun and then fire it in order to defend himself because he was about to be assaulted by Arbery. Well, Arbery was really trying to sort of escape that cul-de-sac because they had already chased him around a number of different areas. Anyways, what ends up happening is Arbery goes around this direction, around the other side of the car, and McMichaels kind of goes around this side of the car. They come over here, and there's a shooting, and Arbery is shot and killed. And those two guys are now charged with murder. So trial is coming up in October. We're going to see where this continues to go. We've got Gregory Nicholas says, where do we draw the line on drawing the line? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think we just have to keep drawing lines. I don't know what the alternative is. Good to see you, Gregory. We got NY Renal MD in the house says, how does the prosecution get messages from the defendant? What if the defendants testified and said, we Googled him and knew he had a prior conviction for stealing? Could that direct testimony be prevented? So very good procedural questions there, NY Renal MD. I'm going to guess that when they were arrested, they probably got warrants to search everything, right? Their house and all of their property. They were involved in a murder. They're doing an investigation to figure out what happened there, right? So phones are going to be naturally a part of that inquiry. And what if the defendants testified and said, we Googled him, knew he had a prior conviction for stealing? So that would be different, right? Because that would explain some direct evidence that they utilized in order to make the decision that they did. Now, that would require them to testify, right? They would have to take the stand and testify, which almost never happens. And I think we know that they didn't know anything about him because we saw the images of it, of a lot of the surveillance footage from around the neighborhood. And I just don't think that they had any indication of who this person was. And nobody knew who he was. And there was some indication that there was some, black kid who was stealing things or was looking suspicious. But again, that does not justify the killing of another person, right? We're talking about property. We're not, which is very inconsequential relative to human life. Call the police for that type of stuff. Don't get in your car and go chase down a kid because they stole a 2x4 out of a house that's under construction. All right, great questions. And I want to thank all of you who sent those in today. They came over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And I want to welcome some new supporters over there. We've got Dog Whistle in the house. We've got Lynn's Crew. Welcome. We have NWH_Scott is in the house. We have I Am Tech. I want to welcome all of you. Thank you, Dog Whistle and Lynn's Crew. Also, thanks to the great questions that came over today from all of you. You see yourself here on the screen. Thank you so much. We've got a lot of good stuff over there. If you're not already on Locals, you should be. You can grab a copy of my book. It's for free. It's called Beginning to Winning. There's a free PDF. You can also download a copy of the slides that we went through today, a copy of the impeachment party documents. If you want to impeach any elected official, I have a template for you. Just download it and do it. We have existence systems template as well. You can get that for free. You can share links throughout the day, and you can meet great people. There's a lot of good reasons to be over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And I've got two more for you. Number one, we've got a monthly locals meetup. It's going to be taking place via Zoom on Saturday, May 22nd. There's a registration form over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. So when you go over there, you can just find the top pinned comment and you'll just click that. Or you got to be a supporter to attend these Zoom meetings, but if you are, just click the registration link. You're going to get reminder emails. The whole thing should be automated. We look forward to seeing you on the 22nd. If you want to come to another event, this one's going to be a little bit different. This is our law enforcement interaction training. It's going to be taking place June 12th, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern time, probably 12 to 1:30, but I'm going to keep another additional 30 minutes or so to hang and share some questions and kind of kick the can around a little bit. So come join us there as well. June 12th, Saturday. It's going to be 9 a.m. Arizona time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, which will be a lot of fun. Law enforcement interaction training. What happens if you get pulled over and a cop says, "Have you had anything to drink tonight, sir?" What do you say to that? Do you say no? What do you say? Well, you're going to have to come find out. Saturday, June 12th. And it's over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And that is it for me, my friends. I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Before we get out of here, quick reminder that I am a criminal defense lawyer here at the R&R Law Group. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. We love helping good people who have been charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases. Love to help to do that. And we're quite good at it. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Can be things like DUIs, drugs, domestic violence, misdemeanor cases, felony cases, anything and everything in between, even old cases. If you have an old warrant you need to quash, or you have the desire to vote again, you can restore your rights, you can possess a firearm, vote, apply for federal benefits, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot we can do. We offer free case evaluations. We're right in the heart of Scottsdale. We have a nice office. We'd love to have you come by and just meet with our team, see if we can help you get through this situation, because there is a lot we can do. I mean, a lot of people come into our office with zero hope. They just don't realize how much we can do to be supportive of them in this difficult time. So if you happen to know anybody, we would be honored and humbled that you send them our direction. We'll make sure we take very good care of them. Other than that, my friends, I want to thank you once again for being a part of the show. We are going to be back here tomorrow, same place, same time. However, I may be in a different location. I may be in studio number 2 because I have an event all day tomorrow. I have a 2-day event that's taking place all day tomorrow and Friday, and so I may bunker down out of the office, and we may do the show from a separate location, but I have to do a trial run to make sure that it's all working. So doesn't change anything for you. You have to be right here, same place. You already know where to go. And one other quick note, by the way, I think we're live streaming on Odyssey, so I set that up today. Don't even know if it's working yet. I'm going to check right after the show, but I transferred some library coin over there, and I've got that set up. So I think we might be live streaming over there right now. I hope it's working. I'm going to check, and then we are probably going to be trying to get set up over on Rumble next. So super excited about that. And remember this, right? We had this conversation when Trump was throwing off all the platforms. Everybody was freaked out. You know, there's nowhere else to go. YouTube is the only place. Well, now Rumble has live streaming. Now Odyssey has live streaming, and Locals is coming out with it too soon. So a lot of the alternative platforms are really, really building themselves up, and it's because of you. It's because of your support. It's because people are sick of it, and they want to go and be with other people where there are free thoughts and free conversations taking place. So I want to thank you once again for being a part of that. It's really humbling, and I think it's very exciting that we are all sort of being a part of the solution. You know, oftentimes we kind of wonder what we can do to move the needle forward in this country, and this is one of them. Sort of this slow abandonment of these big tech platforms in favor of some of these other platforms, and I'm excited to be a part of it, and I appreciate all your support in that endeavor as well. All right, so enough out of me. Same time, same place tomorrow, right here, 4 p.m. Arizona time, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. out there on the East Coast for that one Florida man. Everybody have a tremendous night. Sleep well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.